Got the baby with me, wherever he's at. Let's see if I can get him on there. There he is. That's Jameson. He's playing basketball. We're at Walmart. I just wanted to talk about some of the last videos I've been putting out on the craps. Same rhetoric from the people. So worried about oh my gosh, I've had the time where I had 5 come out losers in a row, or 5 points hit on one shooter. Sure, absolutely, that can happen. Sure, that can absolutely happen. It probably happens once every 10 sessions if you're being honest with yourself. But how many times you're playing the don't do you win, and win repeatedly, and have 4 or 5 runs where you don't ever lose on the don't? I mean, it happens a lot more often than that one crazy bad one. And I know people are saying that they see it all the time and all this kind of stuff. You'd have to prove it to me, because I just don't believe it. It's not the math of the game. And the math of the game, I'm not saying you won't hit the don't, but if you're going to play the don't, you have to be willing to go up on it when you do lose. Hey, Mr. Patel. If you're going to be a don't player, you have to be willing to chase it a little bit. Otherwise, you can't grind back from it, because it's such a 50-50 proposition on the bet. It's basically overall 50-50. You lose a little on the come out, and then you gain it back once you're established on a point. So if you're not willing to keep going up on the don't and to keep attacking it for more money, then sure, yeah, it probably doesn't work for you. It probably never comes back, because you're not giving yourself a chance to come back. Guys, craps is not a cheap game. Craps is not a cheap game. You can play $100 craps, sure, you can. You need to be on a bubble machine for that. If you want to be a craps player at a craps table, you got to bring some money. It's just part of the deal. You have to, because it's an expensive play. Every play on the craps table, minus the prop bets, cost at least $10 or $15, right? I mean, because you can find a $5 table here and there, but most of them are a minimum 10. So every bet, if you want to play the 6 and 8, that's $24 minimum, right? A lot of times it's $36, right? If you want to play, even the blind, the pass line, you're looking at. So it takes money to win money at that game. There's no cheap way to win, and I think that's something that people don't fully understand. If you want to play cheap craps, play bubble craps. Play the bubble machines. You can play for $1 in most places, sometimes $3. But as far as the playing craps as, actually playing and actually making money consistently, you have to bring a ton of money. You have to bring a lot of money, and you have to play for a very small goal if you want to consistently win. Now, if you just want to go have fun, sure, you can go have fun. You can go have fun on a craps table for $500. But if you want to make money, you got to bring $5,000, at least $2,500. I mean, it's just the nature of the game, man. And I hate to talk about this. Right? Yeah, if they're concerned about those smaller bets, right? Why are you there? But here's the thing, guys. Is it possible that you have 5 come out losers in a row on the don't? Yes, sure, it is. Absolutely, it is. All right. If you're that concerned with that, hedge it. You can play those 15-1 hop 7s for pretty cheap. If it's that bad, if it's just beats you up every time and you can't get away from it, you're just that unlucky. Put a couple bucks on those. I mean, it's. But you don't have to do that. That's not a way you have to do it. But I get the horror story every time I put out stuff that's the reality of craps, right? Well, actually, you go there and it actually happens over and over. I get the horror stories, right? Oh, well, I got hit 5 times in a row the other night. Well, if you actually think about it, it was probably a year ago, and you've probably won $10,000 since then. Yeah, absolutely. Todd, me and Todd were there, and Todd had a 4, right? He had a don't 4, and he put a pile of odds on it, which is the exact right play. It's the exact play you're supposed to make. You are a 2-1 favorite to win that bet. You have to play for it. You have to go for it. The only time you're ever going to be a 2-1 favorite. Well, it lost. I mean, but if he did it again and again and again and again, overall, you're going to be a better, guys, if you could start on the don't, the flat bet 1-to-1, and you could always be on the 4 and 10, you'd never lose. You would never lose at the game of craps as long as you had a big enough bankroll. The problem is they don't let you do that. So, but you're a 2-to-1 favorite to win that flat bet. That's the only place. That's the only place in the whole casino you can be a 2-to-1 favorite to win a 1-to-1 bet. It's the only place. If you can come up with another spot in the casino where you're a 2-to-1 favorite to win a 1-to-1 bet, I would love to see it, because there's no such thing. It's only on the craps table. That's exactly right. Exactly, Gooks. But guys, the reason I'm bringing this up, because a lot of these comments, it's just the horror story, right? It's just the horror story. I keep getting the same horror story. I've got it ever since I've been on YouTube. This horror story on the don't. Yeah, I've got this big horror story about these don't come out run losers. I've just repeatedly, every time you go to the casino, you lose 5 don'ts in a row and it just ruins you. I mean, that just can't be true. The math just says that can't be true. You're going to do this tragedy? Don't do a tragedy. That's hilarious, Steven. But anyways, I just wanted to talk about this because, like, I keep getting this comment over and over and over. Same comment from different people. And the truth is, guys, if you're at a $5,000 max table and you have $5,000 to put on it, and it's either a 25 or a 15 min, you can run up just on the don't. You can literally play the don't all day, and the good chance is, as long as you're willing to progress that bet, you're going to come out a winner. Way, way, way up into the higher percentages, over 80% of the time. And that if you just have to have a large bankroll to sustain craps, and it's the light side too, guys. If you want to be a light side player, you're gonna have a big bankroll too, because on the light side it's just the same thing as the dark, right? You have the same issue. It's still the 7. It's just in a different spot. All right. So if you're an across player, which is honestly the only way you should ever play the light side is across. There's really no reason to play the light side if you're not going to get all the numbers. If you're not going to get all the numbers, there's really no reason to play light side, because that's the only thing that makes it valuable. And I'll argue this to the end. I can prove it to you with math that the only way to play it is to take all the numbers. And I'm talking the horn numbers too. So either you need to play the iron cross style, or you need to play where you're covering the horn, because you want to make that an 84% chance to win and a 16% chance to lose on every roll of the dice. If you don't do that, you're going to lose to the 7 on the light side over the course, even a session. The light side is difficult, guys. It's far more difficult than people want to make it out to be. The don't is a far easier play. It's way easier because you're looking for the most common number in the game. So it's a much easier play on the don't. It's a boring play though, and I think a lot of people don't like that the don't is boring, right? If you get a don't 4, you really shouldn't put nothing else up there. You should just play against the 4 and hope you win that. If you start putting other stuff up in there, cutting into your don't, now you know it's not as valuable. It wasn't worth really getting the 4 now. You know, every time you put another bet up there against it, and I know this is the way I play. This is my strategy, right? I do a don't, and then I put bets that eat into the don't. I actually don't advise this anymore. Like, I still love the play because my wife's shopping. I don't gotta worry about it. But I still play that way because it's the action involved, right? When you got a don't and then you play the 6 and 8, or you play an iron cross with it, it's a lot of action, so it's fun. It's entertaining. It keeps you involved in the game. The truth is, when I get that don't through, I should probably just leave it there and wait and see what happens, because it's a far better play in the long run. Problem is it's boring. It's a very boring play. So, and guys, Skill and Luck just brought something up. So, on the don't, if you're talking odds, not the flat bet. The flat bet does matter which one you get, right? If you get the 4 and 10, it's a certain percentage on the flat bet. 5 and 9 certain on the flat bet, and then 6 and 8 is certain percentage of winning on the flat bet, right? But if you add odds, then it really doesn't matter anymore, because the odds equal out the percentage. So like if you're laying a bet, it literally doesn't matter which box number you lay. It just literally doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which box number you lay, because the actual overall, when all the math is done, it'll work out the same. I know it sounds crazy, right? It seems like the 4 and 10 would be the best lay because you're less likely to hit them. But with the payout involved, the 6 and 8 is just as good. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate that. Or maybe you were talking Hawaii crap shooters, because they're pretty good. You might have been talking to them, which would be fine with me too if you're saying they're the best, because I like them. They're great. But that's just what I'm saying is that, so a lot of the things people think that I think they talk about math and craps without actually knowing it sometimes, without actually knowing the truth of it, because every lay bet is exactly the same if you're just doing one lay bet. Because of the payout compared to the percentages, it's still the same. It's overall gonna work out the same in the long run. In the short run is where it doesn't, right? And in the short run is where it doesn't. The 4 and 10 lay from a short run, if you were going to play 4 lay or a 10 lay and then go across the numbers for 2-3 hits, if that's what you were going to do, right? Just lay a number and then 2 or 3 hits and get out. The 4 or the 10 is the better play, because it's just a better play in that sense. Because if you do it that way, you have less likely chance to hit that number if you're going to stay for a very limited amount of rolls. But if you're just going to leave any lay bet up there if you're just going to play a lay bet and leave it, it doesn't matter which one you do. It has no bearing on it if you're going to do the exact same number over and over and over, because the payout will equal the percentage. It's just how it works. It's how they've set it up. And so that's how they beat you on the vig. Mm-hmm. And so that's one of the things I always argue with people about the odds. The odds really don't make a difference in the long run in craps, and especially on the odds on the light side. Honestly, if you're going to play odds on the light side, you should have just placed the bet for the total amount flat plus odds, because you'll actually make more money placing the flat plus odds than you will getting a flat pass line bet and then adding odds. The money's actually better for the same risk just placing the bet. Now, you don't gain the advantage of possibly winning on the 7 and 11 on the come out. You don't gain that advantage. But, I mean, you gain the advantage of a better payout. And it's not significantly better, really, overall. I think the 6 and 8's only like $1 better sometimes. But it is a better payout to just place the bet if you're the place and the flat. Right, exactly right, Todd. But again, as far as consistency goes, guys, the most consistent way to play craps is just play the don't. I know people are going to tell you it's pass line plus odds and all that. They're going to tell you that, but it's just not true. It's not true, because when you put your pass line bet out there, your chances of winning that number don't change. No matter how much odds you put on there, the chances of winning it doesn't change. You still are going to be in the disadvantage. Right? Yeah, it's not. There's where's the difference, right? Like, there's just no difference there. And if you had added the flat into that, you actually make more money on the place, because you're going to also get paid on the flat. Yes, you need to have 5x odds at least, right? Exactly right. So most of the time, people don't even play max odds most of the time. That's a fallacy. When you hear people say all the time, yeah, best way to play is pass line max odds. How many times have you guys seen max odds played? It doesn't happen that much. People don't do it that much. It's very uncommon. The only person I've ever really seen do it on video is Road Gambler. Road Gambler did it consistently on video. I've seen him do it quite a bit on video. I'll take care of it, sir. And, but yeah, so anyways, my kid is tearing up the whole aisle, so I'm going to have to go. I just want to talk about this really quick because I feel like it's people are getting a very, very weird opinion on this stuff when it's really not how it goes. But anyways, guys, thank you for your time, and I'm going to show you this aisle. All right, so far this is what my son has done. He took out all that stuff, that, and that over there. So that's what he's done. He's wiped this aisle out. Anyway, but thank you guys for your time. I'm going to get out of here and clean this up.